Today is a major milestone for our bus network redesign. The entire process bringing improved connections, better service, and greater reliability to our Queens bus riders. Queens is a borough of buses, from Far Rockaway to Flushing to Auburn to you name it. It is mostly a place where we are expected to provide great bus service. Every day, about 800,000 riders rely on buses, and they deserve a network that meets their demand. I can tell you, as a prior resident of Queens, I used to take the Q5 every day to get to work, and I will tell you, it needs some work. But I think the reality is our goal here was to provide better connections, improve service, and ultimately to provide a better product to our customers. I strongly believe that this borough by borough bus network design is the way to do so. The proposed final plan delivers upon improved connections, bus, and connections to the Long Island Railroad and other subway stations. It improves the frequency by bringing increased all-day service to hundreds of thousands of riders. Tying it together is an ironclad commitment to equity. Buses are engines of equity in our city, especially here in Queens. This redesign has focused on delivering improvements to our communities with the greatest needs. And as we celebrate Disability Pride Month, improving accessibility was a key priority in this plan, especially in providing more direct connections to ADA subway stations. This redesign process was enriched by public comments. We asked the customers for feedback. We've made sure that every corner, every borough, every portion of the borough has been heard. Feedback from our riders has guided us to adjust our service and to add direct connections. It's also enabled us to improve the connectivity and accessibility of our network. My mantra in New York City Transit is about safety and service. This is it, providing a better service for our customers, and our bus service needs to be what Queens needs. I am confident that by listening, hearing what people have to say, like we will tonight, we will deliver the borough a world-class bus network that they have come to deserve. And with that, I will turn it over to Chris Pangilian.
Thank you, Demetrius. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really excited to be here today and joined by New York City Transit leadership up here, as well as our Queens Bus Network redesign team for today's public hearing. So this hearing today is going to be another step in an ongoing extensive collaboration between the MTA and the Queens community that goes back to 2019 when this project was first kicked off. So over the past 5 years, we've had the privilege of participating in nearly 200 community events, with over 70 of these community events happening over the last 7 months. During this time, we've heard and read thousands and thousands of comments, and we've been incorporating this input into the latest revision of our plan. And I'm really proud of the team for the work that they have done to ensure that our customers and the community here in Queens has been so involved in this project. And I want to thank those out there who have taken the time to talk to us, give us input, and to meet with us and discuss their concerns and ideas for this project. So this is the only way really that we can have this kind of collaboration, that we can all together develop a modern redesigned bus network that can best serve Queens. So for example, under this proposal, and that we'll be hearing today at the public hearing, this network will address many concerns that were raised over the last 5 years around either bus routing, improving connections, or bus stops. This network proposal will also expand the reach of our all-day frequent bus network to over 200,000 more people in the community, and enhance the overnight service as well for 8 new 24-hour routes. And there are many other improvements as well contained here, and we're very excited to discuss these at the public hearing today with the community once again. So we look forward to continuing our work with Queens today and deliver a strong bus network that the community deserves. And so with that, I'm proud to send this over to Borough President Donovan Richards. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. And of course, to our chairman, thank you. Well, interim president, but you're going to make you permanent. And then I'm gonna call you the Bus Poppy now. All right, Bus Poppy. But truly an honor to be here. And let me first start by thanking the MTA for the work that they've done on community engagement. And most of you know that I am not shy. I will not bite my tongue, but I will say that the MTA has absolutely done a great job on community engagement, and we still have more work to do. This plan will be a perfectly imperfect plan. No one is going to get everything they want in this plan. I was on the phone with Jano this morning at about 7 a.m., just going through some of the finite details to make sure that many of the concerns that Queens residents have raised are heard, and that we try to get into solutions on many of the challenges around some of the routes that we certainly have been talking about. And of course, there's been a lot of conversation about making sure that the furthest ends, especially of our borough, a place where I come from. He talked about the Q5. I know about the Q5. I live off the Q5 line. And let me just say this, it should never be easier to get to Florida by plane than Manhattan by bus and train in New York City. And that's a fact, that you can actually get to Florida by plane easier than Manhattan by bus and train on some days, but that's why we're here. Now, when we look at this bus plan and we look at bus routes, just as we look at zoning, we have not kept up with the pace and growth of this borough. This borough is a place where people want to be. It's the most diverse county in the United States of America, 190 countries, 360 languages and dialects. And when you look at the potential growth with the rezonings of Jamaica, when you look at Long Island City, when you look at Eastern Queens, where we are working with the governor and have proposed a redevelopment plan at the former Creedmoor site, which is about 60 acres. The Rockaways, 10,000 units coming online. Our bus lines have not kept up with the pace of growth for a very long time. So this is not about expediency. It's not about cutting to speed up. The MTA has come with a proposed investment. Of course, we're going to look, as the borough president, my job is to look at this with a keen eye to make sure that we double that investment, that we do ensure that our most vulnerable communities, our seniors, those who are going to school, to daycare, even our newcomers who have come into this borough, which we house 50,000, that we are creating a space in addressing the equity conversation. Transit equity is central in addressing a lot of issues around this borough, just as the affordability issue is. Transit equity is central in ensuring that every person in this borough has a fighting chance to get to employment, to get their place of service, to get to their house of worship. And I look forward in the days to come, because this is not the end. I really implore the public to get out, to make sure your voice is heard at this hearing. And we know we could do 1,000 of these hearings and it won't be enough. So we will hear calls for people tonight to expand. We look forward to continuing to work with the MTA. Matter of fact, the MTA has been stationed here at Borough Hall over the past few months, working with legislators, hearing community board feedback, community leaders' feedback, and we've been working very intensively with them and intricately with them to ensure we can address many of the concerns we've heard from the community boards across Queens, community leaders. We've had elected officials here, stationed here on Fridays, really doing the good work. So I want to thank you all, thank the disability community, because this is once again about access and opportunity for everyone in this borough. And I look forward to making sure that we arrive in a place that every single corner of this borough has transit equity. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, time for questions. We got the president, we got the chief, we got the other president, we got Bus Poppy right in the middle. Anybody have a question? Jessica Formoso, Fox 5.
Hi, guys.
Back there in the orange.
Yes, right here. Just really quick, so just to clarify, you're adding 15 new routes and taking out 10, and also is the Q11 in Ozone Park, one of them affected?
So I think one thing that needs to be clear is that we're not done. So I don't want to commit on the final at this point. We are still here to take feedback, and that feedback will be incorporated. So I don't want to commit on what the final will be because it's not final as of yet.
So those in Ozone Park would be affected or won't be affected? Is the Q11 one of those lines that could potentially be out?
So all I can tell you is we have committed to providing better service to our bus customers around the borough of Queens. And so when we have a final product that we're delivered and the public gets the chance to see it, it will be based upon their comments and the comments of those who have been representing them.
All right, we move on to Marla Diamond from 92.3, 1010 Wins, 80 CBS, Odyssey.com. Marla.
A lot of stations. So, Borough President, you said that there is still some work to be done here. What are your concerns in terms of accessibility and also the taking away of stops? We heard outside from Passengers United, who said that, you know, by the time people walk to their stop 3-4 blocks away, they're not really saving any time at all. So where do you see room for improvement?
So there have been several iterations, and once again, they will tell you, the first iteration of this plan, we were like, hell no. And they came back with revisions. We are now at another iteration of this plan. I don't want to get into the minutia of every line because Michael Carlier in my office with Michael, who heads transportation, has been doing a lot of this work. In the days to come, we will be sitting down with Jano, sitting down with Bus Poppy as well, Demetrius, to make sure that we get into the minute details of some of the remaining issues, including, I saw your report on Ozone Park, great report this morning. So really getting into the weeds on how we can make sure we can address some of these issues. But like I said, this is going to be a perfectly imperfect plan, and change is hard sometimes. We get used to traveling one block. If you got one rider and you got 15 on this block, it may make sense to consolidate the stops. So I don't want to speak for every stop in Queens right now, but what I will tell you is I think we're at least a year out, if I'm correct, maybe a few months out from having a final product. I'll say a year, let me not put that on, but at least a few months for us to continue to work with the MTA after we hear comments tonight. But there were some improvements. I could speak to the Q77 was something that was important to us, being that JFK Airport is undergoing massive redevelopment, and the connectivity in Southeast Queens was extremely hard. You would have to travel to Jamaica Avenue 20 minutes. While you live 10 minutes from the airport, you would have to travel a half an hour by bus to get on the bus to come further up south to get to the airport. They've put the Q77 plan in their extension, which would ensure that we can connect to the airport easier. That's just one example. I don't want to start getting into hypotheticals, but what I want to commit to the residents of Queens is that we are not the MTA. The Borough President's Office is not the MTA. We are here to make sure that we work collectively to make sure that every issue that is raised is resolved at the best ability we can. Everything is not going to be resolved when we finish this plan. And I've said that from day one.
Okay, and just to follow up on the congestion pricing issue. So one of the main concerns that was brought up by a lot of people was that the buses were not efficient or sufficient enough to tell people to leave their cars at home. With this plan, would that fit into a congestion pricing model of asking people to leave their cars at home? And you could
So
both
this is
answer
not
that.
impacting that because this is a $30 million investment in the bus system. This was announced before congestion pricing, even while congestion pricing was being deliberated. And while we're at that $30 million price, if you know anything about Queens residents and Queensboro Hall, we have a running thing, Queens get the money. So we start at 30 million, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to fight for more enhancements and more efficient bus service here in the borough. So no, congestion pricing is not taking away from this plan. This was 30 million committed prior to congestion price even being on the table.
All right, over here on the West Coast, we have Evan Simcoe. That answered your question. Evan was going to ask about the terrific investment in bus service, so thank you for taking that, Mr. Borough President. We got Ryan Schwach here with a question, local Queens media. Ryan?
Hey, how are you? So the borough president just said, I don't know the exact number he said, I think we could be here 100 times or 1,000 times and we probably wouldn't get it fully right. How does that make you feel about how the process has been up to this point and going forward, and what you can expect from this hearing and future hearings? No, for the MTA, 'cause
So I think the more times that we come here, it shows our dedication to listening. We're not coming here because we have nothing better to do. The reality is we want to hear the feedback. We want to get it right. So to the extent possible, the instances that we come here and ask for your comments, ask for you to provide that information, ask for you to provide that feedback, it is us incorporating that feedback into a plan that really works for the Borough of Queens.
Chris, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, as the borough president said, you come to 1,000 times, you're going to get a lot more feedback. And the truth of the matter is, when you do a bus network redesign or looking at any transportation network, we've got to look at the best way that we can serve the community, and we're always going to get feedback, and that's what we're here for. We're going to listen to it, make adjustments as we can, and deliver the best service that we can. So we're really looking forward to that. Thanks.
All right, anybody else? Great, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate it.